The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Well, my guest, Manuel Ramirez, who is also known as Miguel Garcia from Power Book Force. How are we doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. God gave me another day to open up my eyes, my feet touched the floor, and I got the use of all my limbs. So God is
Definitely,
good,
man.
brother.
You're a very busy man, as we were saying quickly just before we came on. Especially with Power. I mean, Power's just big itself. But then when you get added to that, it just gets elevated.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man. You know, I didn't want to disappoint anybody, so I did my best.
Yeah, I think everyone will agree that obviously season one of Force felt a bit, in my opinion, stale. And then obviously season two, you come in, a few other characters come in, and then it felt like the original Power. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, of course. But you know that you know, to the credit of Gary Lennon, he returned to Force after being absent the first season. So when he came back, we definitely got the heart of regular Power.
Definitely. I think what everyone is going to say is like, where is Maria?
I sold her to Turkey Ali Sheikh out in Saudi Arabia, so you guys won't be seeing her in season 3. He paid good money for her. I'm getting Arab money, brother.
Season three has been filmed since when? You filmed, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say you finished filming last July, August time?
We started filming season 3 February 2024,
Okay.
and we finished mids of July 2024. So we've been done for we've been done for over yeah, about 6 months, almost 6 months.
Okay.
And we've heard no word of when it's coming out. You know, there's speculations that it's coming out in June, right after Canaan. But then, if you see how things work with 50, he tends to create feuds. I mean, I don't know if this is what's happening, but he tends to create feuds to up sales or drive interest to whatever he's doing. So he's been beefing with BMF, the Low Meech and Big Meech. And I don't think it's a beef. I think it's more to promote it and get attention to BMF.
Mm.
So if I am correct, I think what's going to happen is you're going to get Kanan, which just aired last night. And that's going to run for 10 weeks with a 2 week break in between.
Yeah.
So then we're looking at a June release for BMF, and then that will run for 10 weeks with a 2 week break in between. And I don't think we're going to get Force until September of this year.
Yeah. That's about right because Force season two came out September 23, didn't it?
September 23, that is correct, yes.
Yeah.
So
And I
officially 2 years after the last season, we're gonna
that's
get season 3. That's
that's
if I am
crazy.
correct. If I am mistaken, then we may get it in June.
Definitely. How did you come about to get the role as Miguel Garcia in Power?
Man, it was actually by mistake, bro. The My manager, she sends me all the breakdowns, and then she asks me, "Hey, what role do you want me to submit you for?" So she sent me Power at, I want to say, 2 in the morning on a Thursday. I get up to go use the restroom, and I'm sitting there going through my emails, half awake, half asleep, and I see that email in there, and I thought I answered it, so I let it go. You know, I go back to sleep. And then the weekend comes, and that Monday I get a call from a buddy, and he asked me if I could read with him for Power. And I said, Power? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you didn't get the audition. Because normally we, you know, as actors, we share our information and
Mm.
our intel, and we say, hey, tell your reps to, send you out for this. Tell your reps to send you out for that. Hey, did you get the audition for this? So he asked me if I got the audition, and I told him no, I didn't get an audition for Power. And he goes, dude, he goes, if you read for this, you're gonna get it. He goes, so he sends me the breakdown. He sends me the material that I got to read with him, and I call my manager and I said, why didn't you submit me over for Miguel Garcia? I go, I'm perfect for this. And she said, because you didn't answer me. I didn't think you wanted to audition for it. So I told her, I said, get on the phone right now, tell casting we need an audition. So I already had all the material. I read with my friend. I prepped it all. I got ready. I got a wardrobe, not knowing, not getting the audition just yet, but feeling that if I put it out into the universe, I was going to get it. So I got all my clothes ready. I practiced. I got everything down. And then that Friday, we get a call from casting, and they said they wanted us to read for Miguel Garcia. So I was already prepared. You know what I mean? I was ahead of the game. Come Saturday, we did the audition, my wife and I, and then we submitted it over. And Monday, we get a call that we had a producer session. We went to the producer session 2 days after that. They told us we were the front runners. My agent was negotiating with them, and I was booked by Monday of the following week. This all happened within a week and a half span.
Wow.
And I was on a plane 2 weeks later heading to Chicago, moving there for 6 months.
6 months in Chicago.
6 months in Chicago.
What's your favorite thing about Chicago?
Oh man, everything, bro. The culture, the people, the diversity, the city that it just literally doesn't sleep, the most beautiful skyline, the lake. I mean, everything about Chicago is gorgeous, man. And if I had to say, it's probably the most beautiful city in the United States of America. And that's, I
Wow.
haven't visited, Sydney, I haven't visited London, but major cities that I visited here, it's gorgeous, man. There's no negativity besides the crime rate being so high. But it's like anywhere, you know what I mean? If you're looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. If you're not looking for trouble, just stay away from it and you'll be fine. But everything about that city is gorgeous.
Very true. So obviously, filming season two. What was your favorite part of filming season two of Power Force?
Part or like in general? Everything in general.
Let's go for both.
Okay. Part. Um, I think every time I was breaking someone's hands, you know what I mean? Every time I was
Yeah.
getting violent, that was fun. They let me play. I got to do a lot of improv in those scenes. So a lot of that you see is things that I added here and there. But my favorite part was working with such a phenomenal cast and crew. Man, everyone was just lovely. You know what I mean? They were there a year before me, so you feel a little nervous coming into a family that is already been established for a year, for a season, and now you're a new character coming in here. So you're like, hey, how are they going to be prima donnas? Are they going to be welcoming? Everyone was just so welcoming. It's like I was there from day one, man.
Mm.
So everyone was just great. That was my favorite part about working on Force, was the cast and crew.
Who would you say on out of the cast is like? Should we not call it the class clown, but who's like the comedian on set, like always
Oh,
up
that
for a
would be
laugh?
Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph Sikora. The
Yeah,
dude, I mean, you're sitting there trying to run your lines, and the camera's not on him, and he's doing some stupid shit that you just can't stop laughing, and will eventually sometimes break character, and you're just like, you're an asshole, bro.
yeah.
You
What's the
know,
biggest
but
thing you learned from him?
the sorry, man, I ended up
Right.
waking up with strep throat yesterday. Um, I would say the unselfishness as an actor.
Yeah,
He teaches you what the definition is of being an unselfish actor.
yeah. I can see that.
And I mean, just the fact that he's so talented. This guy never referred to the Power Show as my show, my show. It was always our show, and I think
Mm.
that's very big. You know what I mean? You being the star of the show, and you always, whether he was talking to me or he was talking to, let's say, the crew, he always referred to it as our show.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
So he involved everyone personally. You know what I mean? It's like put your heart into this because this is whether you're the makeup artist, whether you're a hairstylist, this is your show. So if I don't look good physically, it's on you. This rides on you because you're a part of this show. So
Yeah.
everyone really took personally what they did. You know what I mean? Whether it was sound guy, whether it was somebody moving the props, it was somebody moving somebody a AD attending to one of the actors. They all took it personally because it was their show.
Mm. One thing what I will say is obviously speaking to you now, and then from me watching Force and seeing your character, two totally different people. So how would you say you switch off Miguel to Manuel?
Oh, I mean, you know what? That's always been easy for me. I know there's a lot of there's a lot of actors who they get into character and it takes them a minute to get out. Can it be exhausting? Yes, it can be exhausting. I'll give you an example. The scene where Mireya walks in and I need her to give me the shot and I'm having a diabetic attack. That was a good 3 hours of push-ups and burpees in between takes to keep me that way. So not just that, mentally everything was just exhausting. As soon as we finished, I got to my apartment. I want to say I got to my apartment around 11 o'clock at night that night and went straight to bed. Called my wife, my children, told them good night, and just knocked out, man. The next day I woke up around 10 o'clock. I was so tired.
Jesus.
But jumping in and out of characters for me has never been a problem. That's always been very fairly easy.
Yeah. I mean, because I watch it and I see you like for you in this scene. You how
Yeah,
is it sometimes to keep like a straight face? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're in that scene, like where you could do something like you did to your best. I want to say best friend.
you get lost in the character. You know what I mean? Just really embody Miguel. That's all I can say. The fact that when you were watching that particular part right there, you were really watching Miguel. You weren't watching me. Just embodied him. And just I felt him. I felt his anger. I felt his hate. You know what I mean for guys that steal from him, and I felt him wanting to prove a point to Tommy of what happens if you steal from him.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that one. And obviously, I've seen some iconic photos, whether that's because I'm a wrestling fan, I've seen some iconic photos, from wrestling films. But I think this is up there as an iconic photo.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Just how it's taken.
was a very fun scene. I'll tell you. The grab of the hand that was improv. Joseph wasn't expecting that. I just did that when he asked me about Nasi, and we shake hands, and I pull him in, and I say he couldn't make it, and then he pulls me back. That was all improv. That was just off of intuition. You know what I mean? And after that face of me being angry, that's me being angry. That's really me being angry because I thought I was getting one on him, and when he pulled me back, it just enraged me that I had to walk
Mm,
off set for a second. And even Joseph said, "Hey," he goes, "Was that cool? Are you okay with that?" And I said, "You got to do that every time." I said, "Because you enraged the shit out of me. Like I really got mad. I'm really feeling angry towards you right now." And he,
Jesus,
just came out perfect. It was like a boxing showdown.
that's mad. How many times have you been in the streets or at a restaurant or out with the family and people? Has anyone ever shouted like, "Hey, Miguel"?
Always, always. I'm not Manny. I'm not Manny. I'm Miguel. And even after I tell them, yeah, hey, my name is Manny, they're like, yeah, yeah, we know Miguel, we know. It's just so it what I did on that season was so iconic that it just sticks. You know what I mean? And I'm Miguel from that Tommy show. It's not even Power. It's the Tommy show.
Mm. What does your kids say about it? Like when
It's
you're out with
funny
them?
because my kids, since they were little, they've seen me struggling to make it in Hollywood. So to them, it's nothing. It's like, oh yeah, my dad's an actor. He's on Power. They shrug it off like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter's not impressed. She's the one that keeps me on my toes by letting me know that I suck as an actor. So, it's me every it's me every day trying to prove to her that I am a good actor. So she keeps me on my toes doing a good job.
Yeah, you definitely are. So obviously, what made you become an actor? Like, where did it even start?
Everything was by accident, man. In 2004, it was, want to say November of 2004. I was working at a food packaging place. It was in a freezer. We would make pallets of food for like Del Taco, Golden Corral, Denny's restaurants. And I was working there, and I had a buddy who was an actor. I didn't even know he was an actor until he told me to give him a ride to his fitting. So I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." So we're driving up there, and he goes, "You should do this with me." He goes, "I'm gonna quit MBM and go work this job." And I was like, "Nah, I can't, bro. I got kids. I just can't quit and go do this." I go, "But good luck to you." And he goes, "Calm, man, just do it, man. It's work it, and then later you'll get another job." And I'm like, "Nah, I can't. I got bills." So later on, there was another. It was on the weekend. I met a guy who worked at Nextel, and he offered me a job in the corporate world. So I asked my buddy. I said, "Hey, are they still?" Because I hated my job. So I asked my buddy. I said, "Hey, are they still hiring for actors?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." He goes, "Let's go." I goes, "I'll get you in right now." So I quit that job because I had gotten the job at Nextel, but it was going to take about 30 to 45 days for my background to come back. So I figured I can go do this, and I can say, "Hey, I was in a movie," which was Jarhead. I can say I was in the movie. So went up there, we did wardrobe. They told me to go into this other room to get my haircut. So I figured if I didn't like it, I show up one day, at least I got a free haircut, right? So I walk in there and I tell the guy, "Hey, taper the sides, taper the back, a little off the top." Guy gave me a crew cut. I walked out of there with a crew cut, man. I was pissed off. Pissed off. One thing about my hair, you know what I mean? I was pissed off.
Mm.
So we go the very next day. It's day one. It was cold as shit. It was like, I want to say, 32 degrees outside. That we couldn't get a jacket because we were method actors. Um, we marched for like 5 hours straight, no cameras, no equipment. Everything was being shot with Jake Gyllenhaal inside of a plane, and we're just out there doing b-roll. So when we get to Iraq, all the soldiers that you see marching through the airport, that was us. We're doing that for like 5 hours, man. We got drill instructors yelling at us because they want us to feel like Marines. I hated it. So my plan was to go to lunch and then go hide in the bus and never come back. That was it. I was done. I was done with Hollywood. So we go to lunch. They gave us filet mignon for brunch. I was like, "Oh shit!" I could get used to this. Like I had never had that. So that was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go to the bus." So I'm making my way to the bus, and this drill instructor grabs me by my arm. He goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "Oh, I'm looking for the bathroom." He's all like, "Okay, I'll show you where the bathroom off is, and now today you're gonna be state platoon." I was like, "Damn it, dude! I just want to get to the bus and go to sleep." So we went to the bathroom, come back. He puts me in the tent. I'm sitting right behind Jake Gyllenhaal, and Jake
Wow.
Gyllenhaal's just talking to everyone, like we're just having a fucking friendly conversation. So now I see all the cameras, I see all the equipment, I see the director, I see the cinematographer. Christopher Cooper's on stage doing a monologue. And mind you, I know who the hell Christopher Cooper is. He's a fucking legend. So I'm like watching him in awe do this. And then someone starts tapping me on my shoulder from the back and they start asking me where the bitch is at. I turn around and it's Jamie Foxx standing right behind me,
Wow.
asking me where the bitch is at. So we do the scene and everything, and I knew that moment I didn't want to do anything else but act. I like playing, and I just wanted to play for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously before we went on, you've had some pretty impressive roles. You've been on some big shows, Queen of the South, Cobra Kai, Power. What
Snowfall.
You have. You've been on so many. Would you
Yeah.
say Power has elevated you for what's going to come after?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And that's because of the size of the role. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The fact that it gave me so much screen time to do what I can do. Season 3, I pulled back so many layers on that onion that you get to see Miguel in not just an angry form, but feeling other feelings. I don't want to say much, but you're going to get to see a completely different Miguel you didn't expect. Sometimes you're going to laugh, and sometimes you're going to have sympathy for him.
Okay. Would you say we're going to see an emotional side of Miguel?
Definitely, most definitely.
Because the one true, I'm not going to say one true love, but the one person that he loved, correct me if I'm wrong how I say it, Abuelita?
Abuelita, yes, his grandma.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he loved her so much.
Yeah, that was what he loved most in this world. You know what I mean? That's what he told Nunez before he shot him. You took from me what I love the most in this world, and that was his abuelita.
Yeah,
That was like his mother. She raised him.
mhm, definitely. So, what
But
would
you're
you
gonna
say?
see
Sorry.
you're gonna see a whole lot of different feelings, not just from the abuelita side, but the fact that you know um, he doesn't have a sister anymore, and having to deal with Tommy, and Tommy trying to take his operation from him, because it's not like Tommy is completely just gonna let what Miguel did ride. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because Tommy doesn't know whether I killed my sister or I just sold her in the sex trade. I mean, he doesn't know. So he's most definitely going to come after Miguel and come at him full force, full Tommy demon force.
definitely. But would you say Miguel is a big family man?
This is what I tell everyone, because everyone thinks Miguel is a villain. Miguel's evil. Miguel's not evil. In reality, he's not. He is a good man. He protects his family. He loves his family. And if you were just to let him do his business, he'd leave you alone. But when you're trying to take his business, his form of feeding his family, that's what makes him a bad guy, because he's going to do whatever it takes. If you fuck with his family, you're going to fuck around and find out. So he's truly not a bad guy. He's just protecting what's his. That's it. Just
Very
happens to
true.
be a drug dealer.
Yeah. So obviously, what from your own words, because season 2 left a lot of unanswered questions, like is Claudia alive? What's going to happen to Finn? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's happening to Maria? What's Miguel's next move's going to be? Are we going to see the Serbs in season 3? There's a lot of stuff that's going to need answering, and we've
Correct.
only got, is it 10 episodes season 3?
You only got 10 episodes, yes.
Now, trying to cram all that in, and Tommy trying to get his revenge, I reckon season 3 is going to leave a lot of unanswered questions at the end.
Man, it's just so much to cramp up in one season,
Yeah,
that we do tie up of a lot of loose ends.
that's
But
quite bad. That.
in general, there's always going to be unanswered questions. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Take original power, when Ghost dies.
yeah,
There was still so many unanswered questions that they did not cover, that people were pissed off about, and were like, "There's no way, there's no way it ends here."
yeah, that's
But
very true.
unfortunately for us, we end at season 3. Could we have gone 6, 7 seasons? Easy, most definitely,
Oh,
because we
definitely.
had we had the story, we had the storylines. But
I know
the network spoke, and they're the ones who fund it. And when they say it's over, it's over.
season 3, I reckon, in my opinion, will be a big success, not just because of you, but Tom Age, do you know what I mean? Everything in general. Could they be on the cards? Stars change their mind and bring it back for one more season. Do you think that could be possible if the fans get together? And because
It's all
obviously,
good. It's all gonna boil down to the fans. You know what I mean? But like they said, it wasn't the end of Tommy's run. So are they going to spin off and do another Tommy? You know, they didn't tell us much. We don't know. We know about as much as you guys know,
Yeah.
honestly, to tell you the truth. When is it finished? When is it airing? They don't keep us in the loop. We don't know anything for the simple fact that they don't want us to give out any spoilers. So if there is no spin-off coming, I think if the fans got together and they boycott stars, they most definitely can get another season because season 3 is so explosive and so good that it calls for a season 4.
Mm,
But once again, it's all going to depend. Are they doing a spin-off with Tommy and other power characters? That's what it boils down to, which would determine if Force comes back.
yeah. Because I feel like with your character and obviously, do you know, the rivalry that you've got going with Tommy, I think that could go for another season, not just season
Oh
three.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys are going to get a pretty good war. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You guys are going to get a pretty good war between Tommy and Miguel.
Tommy's like a one
It's
man bandit at the moment, isn't he?
Oh
Kind of.
yeah, most definitely. I mean, if you really look at it, Tommy's always been a one man bandit. Even when he was with Ghost, he always did what he wanted to do.
Mm.
Even against whatever Ghost told him not to do. Tommy did what was best for Tommy. Didn't matter who it hurt. I mean, he's about family, but it's always been about Tommy being the kingpin top.
Yeah.
So that was established early in season 1 when he came to Chicago.
Hmm.
And then he established that in season 2 when he met Miguel. So
Yeah.
he's always been a one man bandit. And I mean, if you really look at it, I don't see a very big difference between Miguel and Tommy. I think that's why Miguel hates him so much, because he sees himself in Tommy and Tommy sees himself in Miguel. They're both cut from the same cloth,
Oh,
except
definitely.
one's white and one's Mexican. you know,
Yeah.
but they're both as equally evil, and they both love their family, and they both want to be on top.
Yeah. What would
And
you
that
say
makes it
from
for a very good war because it makes them both very dangerous.
definitely does? It's just it's so frustrating, right? Because you've said to me, obviously, you finished filming last July. Stars likes to keep people waiting. It's what they do, and I'm dying to see it. I've got nothing else to watch on TV, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
apart from Raising
we're,
Canaan.
we're the same way right now. The only thing I'm watching right now is 1923 because I'm a big
Mm.
Yellowstone fan. But
I've just finished that.
you know, as a fan of Force, I'm pissed off at Stars, man. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
honestly, I think we're getting the cheap end of the stick because they could have released Kanan in November and released Force by February.
Well, most definitely.
You know what I mean? And even if they didn't release Force by February, we would be getting Force by April if they went next with BMF. Why do they fuck with us? I don't know. As an employee of Stars, I got nothing negative to speak about that network. They treated me with love, respect, dignity, and they did right by my money.
Yeah,
So I feel two different ways but you know what I mean? As a fan, we're never going to be satisfied.
never.
So I think it just comes with the territory. But as a fan, I'm pissed off. As an employee, I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. So obviously, season three. Will you be watching it and then be like, "Oh, I could have done that"? Are you a big critique of yourself, or do you?
Always, always, always. Even when I do an audition, I do an audition and I pick the best one, and then I send it in and I rewatch it, and I'm like, I could have done that different. I could have added this. Why didn't I do this? So watching, and my wife hates watching Power watching the episodes with me because she's like, "Can you just shut up and watch it as a fan and stop criticizing it?" So always, I'm my biggest critique.
Yeah,
I'm my biggest critique, but when my if my wife likes it, I know I did good because my wife will never lie to me. If I do bad, she'll let me know. You sucked. And
that's
when I'm
good.
on point, she'll let me know. So it's if anyone's going to give me some good critique, an honest critique, it's my wife.
That's good if you've got your wife as a big supporter and help.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, man. Season 3. If you could, so if someone random now is speaking to you about season 3 of Force, what would you tell them?
It's going to be explosive. It's going to be a must see for TV.
Okay.
I wish,
What
I
can,
wish I could sit here and tell you all about it, but then those are spoilers, and you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, oh, this and that, and not just that, I'll get in trouble by the network, but it's
yeah,
it the only one that I could talk to is really my wife. Like, I can't give anybody else any other spoilers, but it's going to be explosive and it's must watch TV.
yeah. What can we expect from your character apart from obviously a lot of killing, a lot of emotion? Would you say from the get go, from episode 1, it's straight bang?
He's worse. He's more violent. You get more camera time of him. My character probably doubled in camera time, um, but he's more violent, and it's just like I said, he's a ball of emotions. In reality, he probably is a mama's boy who has mommy issues
Mm,
because he's just so angry sometimes. You know
yeah,
what I mean? But when shit hits the fan, he's just emotional. He's an emotional guy.
that's true. And we can probably expect a lot more kills.
Yeah, most definitely. That you will.
Yeah. Cool. It's weird because obviously I want to ask things, but then obviously I know you can't give away, so it's trying to go around the questions to try and get a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, of course.
So
I
frustrating.
get what you're saying. I got to deal with that all the time. I
So
get
can
the
we?
questions and they're all like, "Well, can you at least give me this?" And then
Yeah, I know.
you would have to ask it to know if I can give you that.
Can we expect a few surprises?
You can expect a shitload of surprises,
Yeah, but
a bunch of surprises.
can we expect some surprises that we're not going to expect that we'll be like, fuck?
You can expect one of those very big ones. You
Ooh,
guys are all thinking this when in reality it's going to be this.
okay. See, now I'm thinking in my brain, what could that be? Could that be a returning character? Could that be someone from the OG coming? Could that be a
It could
death?
it
Could that
could
be a
be.
shock?
It could be somebody from the OG power, or it could be something that you guys are expecting in the storyline, and it's actually the other way around. The writing, I would probably say, you know how when you watch certain things and you're all like,
Yeah,
I already know what's gonna happen, and then you're watching it and you tell your spouse or you tell a friend, you're all like, oh, that's the bad guy right there. Oh, that's gonna happen right there. Our writing this season is very unpredictable.
yeah,
Very
and
unpredictable.
that's what you like.
Yeah. It's going to throw everyone for a loop. You're going to be expecting one thing and you're going to get something else.
And obviously, like you mentioned, Gary Lennon's obviously doing the season 3, so that's going to be bringing a little bit of the OG power
Of
vibe kind of
course.
back.
You're going
So
to get a continuation but better season 2.
I'm just see, this is what I mean. I'm getting excited, just because obviously
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
big fan of yours, and the fact that obviously I'm talking to you means a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm a fan of the show, a fan of your work that you've done. I'm not saying I connect to you, but do you know what I mean? It's like when you connect to a show,
Of
you just
course.
you love it.
Yeah, no,
And
it's you're going to get a lot of what the fuck moments
mm,
in season 3.
like we
Everyone's on top of their game. What happened?
sorry, like we said, Tommy is on his own at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not Diamonds is like, do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's got you. He's trying to find like what's up with Marais. So his head's like spinning completely. And Tommy needs a bit of backup. We would say in season 3.
Of course,
They kind of
most
teased it
definitely.
at the end of Ghost when Tariq hands the phone. That's the only person who we could. I see you smiling. That's the only person who he's
But
really got
do we
left.
really? But do we really need Tyreek and Force? That's the question.
You don't need him in force, but never say never.
Hey, power never dies. It always continues, and you always get surprises.
Would you love to have worked with Michael Rayner Jr.?
I would love to have worked with any of the characters in Power. You know what I mean? I think they were all unique in their own way. I would have loved to have a one-on-one and then a fist fight with Two Bit. That would have been fun because Two Bit's a pretty hefty guy, and I'm a pretty hefty
Okay,
guy. You know what I mean? That a fist
okay,
fight between us would be nice. I would have loved to
In-
have a fist fight with Ghost.
okay.
Big Ghost, not Little Ghost. Little Ghost, I'd pick him up and break him in half. But a fist fight with me and Big Ghost would have been nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna say little ghost can't fight.
Yeah, and Little Ghost can't fight. He's always getting his ass whooped. You know what I mean? I probably have to be. I'd have to protect him.
Mm.
But no, in reality, I would have loved to have worked with Tasha. I would have loved to have worked with Ghost. I would have loved to have worked with what was his name? The politician guy, the crooked guy. God,
Which
Lorraine
which one?
Tate plays it.
Oh,
Isn't
what's
it
his name?
something Tate?
Richard Tate. Richard Tate.
Yep, Rashad Tate. I would have loved to have worked with him. And the guy's a
Mm.
legend. Like, I would love to work with Method Man. I mean, Braden, all those guys. I think they're all unique in their own way. That we Miguel and them would have been cool to watch.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question now.
Go for it.
Out of the people that are alive in the Power universe, what one, apart from Little Ghost, would you have loved to show up? That are alive, who would you love to show up in season 3 if it was possible?
Oh man, of the people who are alive, right?
Yeah.
Oh shit, man, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. I'd probably say some way somehow Method Man.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Method Man. I would love to have had Method Man on our show.
Yeah, that would have been
I
good.
mean, just something about his character, man. He's just ruthless to me. Him or Kane? Kane. I would have loved to have worked with Kane, man. Kane is just Kane. Kane's a dog.
Yeah, definitely.
But on top, it would be Method Man. And maybe I'm being biased, man, because it's Method Man, and I think he's a phenomenal actor. And I love being around great actors because it only makes me better.
Mm,
But you know what I mean? It'd be between him and Kane.
yeah. Can we expect to see Miguel in every episode?
You're gonna get Miguel in every episode except one.
Okay.
Except one, and you'll understand why once you watch that episode.
Okay.
Besides
Is it
that, you get Miguel in everything.
okay? That's yeah. What? Because obviously, I saw a post by Joseph. I think a couple of years ago. I say a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, when you was doing season 2. He mentioned like episode 6. There was something about episode 6. I can't quite remember it, but he said, "Oh, that's like a must see episode." But he's like, "Wow."
Oh,
Or there's
episode
something.
seven.
Yeah.
Episode 7 is a must see. For Miguel's purpose, it's a must see.
Okay.
Yeah, for Miguel's purpose, it's a must see. Who knows? Maybe he dies in episode 7, and that's why it's a must see.
I like how you're just teasing everyone now.
Yeah,
So,
that's how we'll play it. We'll play it. Does he
okay.
die? Is that the end of him?
Well, it can't be because there's 3 episodes left. Trying to think hard on the spot. You were, do you know what I mean? It's like I'm talking to a really good actor. Do you know what I mean? And it's just trying to get information out of you. Is you're very, yeah, you're very hard to push. But I've got
Yeah,
quite a lot. And I'm good for that. But would you say the ending of season 3? Would you say episode 9? Because in every season, 9 and 10 is always like big two.
yeah.
Would you say nine?
Most definitely. Oh my god. Episode 9 is boom. Boom. And episode 10, I mean, it gives forced closure.
That's good.
Does it leave unanswered questions? Of course, always. But episode 10 gives it closure, and episode 9 sets it up very, very well.
Okay. If Miguel is alive at the end of season 3, and there was going to be a spin-off, would you love to be a part of one?
Of course. I love the Power Universe. I had so
Yeah.
much fun. It's probably, not to knock off any of the other jobs that I've done, because everything I've worked on, I've been extremely blessed to have been treated with respect and dignity. I've been paid very well. The networks that I work for, they've all taken care of me financially and mentally, physically, everything. Everything I needed was provided. But Power was just on a completely different level. Power, I can literally do Power for 12 fucking years and not flinch or
Mm.
say fuck, can I do something else? Like, I would do Power for 12 years and just be happy and possibly retire after that and get into directing. So if there is a spinoff and I'm invited to come on board in any shape or form, it would be an honor for me.
Mm. That'll be
And
good.
it's all good, in the end, it's all going to depend on what the fans want. Like, if the fans push for it, if the fans love what I did in season 3, and they are happy and content with it, and they ask for it, then the network listens, they hear, then I'm sure you'll see Miguel in the spinoff.
Almost definitely, and that would be worth watching. Is it true that you got told episode 6 that it's not going to get renewed for season 4?
Yes, we were told in right after we were done filming episode 6. We were
Wow.
we were told, as we finished up, we did, a little powwow, and they broke the news to everyone and literally sucked the air out of the room, because the way we were filming, the way everything was going, the writing, everything, it called for 6, 7 seasons. I mean, you could easily make 10 seasons. You know what I mean? You got
Mm.
all these unique characters that you bringing in. You got wars back and forth. Chicago is so diverse that you could have the Italians trying to take the throne from Tommy. You can have the Haitians, the Dominicans, like any group, any crime family that you can think of is in Chicago, because Chicago is so big. You got little Italy, you got little Armenia, you got little China. You got all these places and all these groups of people that you could easily get 10 seasons out of. But we're all excited, we're hyped, we're waiting for the call to say, hey, you guys are going to get picked up for a season 4. So that's what we were expecting. And then we get hit with, well, this is going to be our last season. We get our thank yous, we appreciate you, this, that, and everyone went home. I thought it was going to affect production, everyone's morale. But good thing that everyone took it with stripes and just said, hey, fuck it. We're going to continue doing this. We're doing something great. And no one, like I said, everyone was unselfish. They were like,
Yeah.
we're doing something great. Let's finish great. Let's give the fans something worth saying goodbye to.
Mhm.
And we got back to work the very next day, and it was like nothing. Everyone put their best foot forward, and we delivered a hell of a season 3.
Yeah. Did you
But
keep any?
we were all
Sorry.
disappointed. Of course, we were. We were expecting a season 4.
No, definitely. And for season 4, like you mentioned, obviously you could have carried on. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously season 2, we was starting to see more of Miguel. Do you know what I mean? Bits and bits. Like you mentioned, season 3, we're just gonna you tear off the layers of the onion. You see a lot more side of him. And season 4 is, in my opinion, I haven't seen it yet, but this is probably where season 4 you could have seen if Miguel survives.
Of
You could
course.
see Miguel in his element. Do you know what I mean? You could see more of him, more like a backstory or something like that. You could have added more layers to him.
Of course. Most definitely. You could have added more layers to him. You could have, I mean, a war between Tommy and Miguel could last you 2 seasons easily.
At least.
You know what I mean? A war between them, and then I don't know. Miguel gives Mireya back, or uh, him and Tommy have to work together in season at the end of season 4, and there's a threat coming to take it from both of them. I mean, there was so much you could have done in a
Oh yeah,
season 4 that would lead you into a season 5, but the high up spoke, and that was it. You know what I mean? It's when the high ups say it's done, it's done.
yeah,
They're the ones with the money, and when the money runs dry, you have no product. You have the
that's true.
writing, you have the talent, but when you don't have the cash to back it up, it's move on to the next one.
Yeah. I mean, did you keep anything from the set at all?
I kept the back of my chair, and I
Okay,
kept one of my rings, my skull
nice.
rings, and then they gave me a bunch of clothes.
Okay.
I know people who actually took their whole chair.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they grabbed their whole chair and they took it with them.
I
And
mean,
then there's people who took props from set. I was going to do that, but a lot of the props on set for Miguel, they were like evil. So I didn't want
yeah.
that aura in my house.
Imagine.
But I got some good things.
That's good. So we've talked about 45 minutes of power. You've also done other things. You've done Cobra Kai. How the hell can you go from a drug lord to a karate franchise? How's it?
Well, he was a drug lord in the Karate Kid. I mean,
Yeah, fair enough.
even though I go from a drug lord in Queen of the South to a drug lord in Snowfall. Well, he wasn't a drug lord in Snowfall. I ran drugs and I ran the neighborhood. And then I go into Cobra Kai, but I'm still a drug lord. That didn't change.
Kind of a pattern here, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's just that one part. It's like they look at me and they're all like, "Oh yeah, he can't do comedy. We got the drug cartel for him. Put him in the drug cartel."
Hmm.
That's just been the story of my life. You know what I mean? But if you see my TikToks, I could be funny.
Hmm.
Like, you could see me in a different light. It's just I don't know if I have to shave and take off the beard in order to be able to do that and them to see it.
I've seen a picture of you without the beard. Keep the beard.
Keep the beard right. Exactly. That's what my wife says. Real men don't shave.
That's very true.
So it's getting Hollywood to see beyond the drug lord and really giving me an opportunity to audition for comedy or the dad or the grandpa or the coach, the teacher, but they don't see it, man. They and then I play the drug lord so good that they're like, yeah, no, no, he that's who he is. I mean, I get it a lot. People who really think I'm Miguel. I can
Yeah.
be. I think
But then-
anybody can be. Push to a certain extent. I think we all have a Miguel,
Yeah, that's
but
very
it's
true.
not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm a completely different person. I'm a father and a husband.
There's a lot of films like whether that's thriller, action that have drug like background like oriented into it.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of stuff that even if you was going to play another role like that, you could become an action star on Netflix or something like that.
correct, correct. I just got to be given that opportunity.
Yeah,
They have to see that, you know what I mean? And sometimes these casting directors can't see it from a picture. They need a visual. You need to paint a picture for them. They just can't look at your picture and say, "Oh yeah, yeah, he could play the lovable dad." He just has the long beard. Dads have beards, but to
it's
them
true.
it's like, "Oh no, the dads are clean shaven. They don't have a beard. And, the beard is the bad guy, the drug lord." And it's just convincing them otherwise. Maybe it's
Yeah,
going to take me becoming a household name in order to be able to play something else.
that's true. So obviously, from Power, what's next for you? Like, what have you got coming up?
Right now we don't have anything. The industry has been very, very slow on opening back up. So we didn't open up until the ends of February. So you got all these breakdowns. Breakdowns are casting. Casting sends breakdowns to the agencies. They send breakdowns to a website called Actors Access, and it shows you the breakdowns of what is going to be filmed within the next month or so, or uh, things that are being casted for production in June. So all that is barely ramping up. Since I got off Power, there wasn't much besides the shows that were already in production. There was no new shows coming out.
Hmm.
Um, we expect it to be a very busy year, but it was going to start very late. So now we're in March and we're barely casting for all the new shows when normally they start in January. So right now we're just auditioning and looking to land that next job. But it's probably going to be a drug lord. I would love to play special forces on Lioness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a drug lord on what is that? Landman.
Mm.
That'd be fun. But we'll just
Would
have to wait
you?
and see if they're casting.
Yeah. You mentioned you lived in Chicago for 6 months. Would you come over to the UK for a role if it was possible?
Oh, most definitely, man. Most definitely. And give me a UK accent with a language coordinator, and I would love to play that.
Definitely. Have you ever been to the UK?
I have not.
You
It's on
haven't?
my bucket list though.
Yeah, just make sure you come in the summer.
In the summer.
Yeah. Quite
Yeah, I'm
cold.
not a cold guy. I don't like the cold.
What is it at the moment? 18 degrees. It's quite
Oh
bad.
my
It's
god.
quite bad.
Well, here I believe it's like 70. I live in the desert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I live in the desert in Arizona.
Jesus.
So our winter is about 2 weeks, and I think the coldest we get during the day is probably 55, if that,
Wow.
which would be like summer for you guys.
Mm, definitely. Apart from Queen of the South, Power, Cobra Kai, and Snow, what else? What is your favorite role that you've played? Apart from obviously Miguel, which is probably up there.
I think it was Cobra Kai, man. I had a lot of fun on Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Even though it's funny because it was supposed to be more playful than mean. When they gave me the dialogue was written in English, and they had a few words here and there in Spanish. And when they gave it to me, they said, "Can you translate it?" So I built that character. He wasn't even supposed to look like that. Cowboy hat with the
Mm,
open shirt and the jewelry. He wasn't supposed to look like that. They didn't even know how to dress him. That's all my own clothes. I brought my own clothes. I dressed the character, and that dialogue was all me. So it ended up being more of a drug lord, a mean drug lord, than the way they wrote him off to be playful.
yeah,
So that's why I say it was one of my favorite characters to play.
that's good. Did you? Where did you have to go to film that? Was that in Mexico or?
No, that was in Puerto Rico. We filmed that in Puerto Rico at some little dive bar in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Wow.
Yeah, which was funny because I'm like, well, couldn't you guys just find a dive bar here in the U.S. somewhere? You just play it off. It would have been a whole lot cheaper to fly me to Atlanta than to fly me to Puerto Rico.
Mm.
Yeah, they
And they
put me in
covered the
Puerto.
cost for everything.
Yeah, what happened?
They covered the cost for everything.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you never pay for nothing unless it's a unless it's a local hire. Then you're a local hire actor, like say Los Angeles. They want somebody local. If you take that role as a local, whatever they pay you, you have to cover your stay, your to and from, your food, all that. They don't pay you nothing. But if
It's
it's
crazy.
not a local hire, then they cover everything. I mean, they flew me on this damn plane where it had a bed in it and a TV. It was it was awesome. And they put me in a 5-star hotel for a week to film one day. Yeah, so it was cool, man. Like that's why I tell you, I've been very fortunate to have been treated very well by these production companies because I've heard horror stories, but I've
Yeah,
never had to experience it, and I hope and pray to God that I never do.
that's good. Really good. So you flew all the way for 1 week for one episode. How? I mean, it's none of my business, but how does the pay and everything like work? Like, do you negotiate it for
You
the
know,
role?
you negotiate your time that you're going to be away from home. You know what I mean? You look at what the minimal is, and then you look at what you've done, your resume, and that all basically enlarges your stock. You know what I mean? The more you work, the more you're sought out, the more you're going to get paid, the more they're willing to pay you because you have a track record. So your track record is going to speak for you, and that's going to determine what you get paid. And if you got paid a high amount, did you deliver what they wanted? Was your performance on par? Were you respectful? Were you an asshole? Were you nice? All that goes into you being cast. And I tell you that because Gary Lennon Jr.'s two best friends were the showrunner of Snowfall and Queen of the South. So when I was up for the part, those were the two people that he ran to go and call first and ask what kind of person I was on set and what kind of actor I was. And they all vouched for me and said, you need to hire him.
That's good.
And that determines, it goes into negotiations. How bad do we want him? Are we
Mm.
willing to pay his price? And you not outpricing yourself either. You gotta know your worth. It's like 50 said one time. He said, you got a water bottle. You go and you buy it at a liquor store, you're gonna pay $1 for that water bottle. You go to a stadium, you're gonna pay $7 for that water bottle. You get a water bottle on a plane, it's gonna cost you $13. So
True.
it's all you putting yourself in those situations and making sure you're that water bottle that they're paying $13 for.
It's very true.
But you gotta have self-respect, have self-dignity, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
I
And
like
never
that.
be an asshole. You know what I mean? Assholes don't get far in the world.
Yeah. So season 2 of Force, and then obviously you've come back for another season. So again, it's nothing to do with me, but does your pay increase or do you
It
negotiate?
it, it increased by 7.5%.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then we were up for renegotiations. Some people renegotiate at 3 seasons, other people renegotiate at 4 seasons. And we were to renegotiate at our contract's third season. So season 4 would have been my third season, and we didn't get a chance to renegotiate because we got canceled.
Yeah,
So, it is what it is. Would have been great. Would have been nice to catch that check, get that bag.
definitely, man. I always finish it off like any interview that I do with an inspirational message. So, what would one be from you?
All right. Inspirational message. Be nice. Be nice to everyone you meet. Don't be an asshole. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And always thank God for another day.
I like that. Well, this has been such an honor, and I've enjoyed the last hour chatting to you. I
So
cannot
have I,
wait
Jordan.
for season 3 to come out and then watch you kick ass. Obviously, I hope Tommy kicks your ass, but you know what I mean.
Hey, as a fan, I hope Tommy kicks my ass too.
Yeah, but
Because
seriously,
as a fan, I'm Team Tommy.
I really enjoyed the chat, man. Thank you very
Hey,
much for coming.
so did I, man. God bless you, okay? You take care
Yeah,
today. Have a
take it
great
easy.
weekend.
You too, mate. Bye.